Everything's great here. I appreciate you. This has been a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this podcast about kind of a follow up to our original Deion Sanders and Colorado pod a few years
Right.
back. I wanted to talk about Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. And the funny thing is, when we first talked about it, I think we first had it scheduled, it was pre NFL draft.
Right.
So we had I think we both had a different podcast in mind. It was going to
Hmm.
be almost a victory lap for Dion and Shador and Travis, who
Entirely.
collected all kinds of accolades after a pretty good season at
Right.
Colorado. I mean, Travis wins the Heisman, Shador wins
Boom.
the Johnny Unitas Award
Right.
for best quarterback.
Hmm.
Just a long list of accolades and awards, and of course, things changed pretty quickly on draft night. Uh, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But
Yeah.
before we get into Shador and everything that's going on, Travis gets picked second overall. The Jags trade up, spend a lot of picks to get him.
Hmm.
What do you think of his NFL prospects? How excited are you to watch him play at the pro level?
I really think he's going to be a generational talent. You know, especially with the contrast of us talking about Travis and Shador. You think about, Travis making the proclamation that if he can't be a two-way player, he's not even going to play. Like he doesn't want to play. And you would think with just like the tight uh, constraints that NFL teams put on players, where you don't really get a chance to sort of like make those sorts of demands, for it to be like, okay, well, that's what he's going to do, tells you just like how pro ready he is. And I think he has such a good head on his shoulders. I saw the other day this um, mom, I suppose, on social media posted a picture of her sitting next to. Do you see this? Like she was sitting next to
Yeah,
him
she looked
on a
like she
plane or
was a
something.
grandma. She was a grandma. She
She was
looked
a
like about in
grandma,
her
right? Right.
70s or 80s. Yeah.
Absolutely. And she was just saying, like, he's such a nice young man. I'm definitely pulling for the Jaguars. It's like you couldn't ask for a better commercial. You know what I mean? And just in terms of character, in terms of excellence on the field, I think he really is the total package in that way. And I really expect him to have a tremendously successful career. Whether or not the Jaguars will always be his team is a completely different story, but I expect him to be a pro's pro.
I think it was a good thing that he ended up on a franchise like Jacksonville that maybe doesn't have some of the like traditional constraints or
Yes.
like old school values or whatever you want to call it of
Right.
like the Giants or the Browns where he
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
that originally slotted to go, or some of the other teams that there might be a little more pressure. It's almost like Jacksonville is kind of like the backwater of the NFL where you can kind of do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Urban Meyer was doing all kinds of crazy stuff and he kept his job
Right.
for a while. So,
It's
that's
experimenting over there
yeah,
in Duval.
exactly. He's going to get to play he's from Florida, so he gets to be close to
Right.
home. So it's almost like a perfect situation for him. And of course, that's kind of juxtaposed with how things worked out with Shador
Yeah.
and where he ends up and everything like that.